Location, location, location. It's the golden rule of business, and it turns out the same is true for photography. If you want to learn how to take amazing portraits on location, you gotta know where to go. So, let's talk scouting. Welcome to the great outdoors. Fresh air, unique places, and of course, premium light. For photographers, working on location is essential for building a winning portfolio. And when it comes to portrait photography, our world offers virtually unlimited environments for creating unique images. You can go into the wilderness, you can go into the city, or you can even go into your own backyard. Regardless of where you decide to operate, there are a few questions you'll probably want to answer before you start packing your camera bag. When you are working on location, knowing when and where you are going to shoot is imperative for any good portrait photographer. This means that scouting ahead is key to being prepared. What do you look for in a good portrait location? What time of day should you shoot? Are sunny days better than cloudy days? When will the light be best? And perhaps most important, can we operate safely? So, the safety factor actually brings up a pretty valid point. Before we go into the elements which make up a great photo location, let's take a minute to talk about bad locations. These are to be avoided at all costs. So, what are the all-time worst places you can take photographs? Coming in at number 1, railroad tracks. Aside from an active landmine field, railroad tracks are probably the most dangerous place that you can be with your camera. People have literally died shooting pictures on railroad tracks. Not only are pictures of people on railroad tracks completely stupid and cliche, it's the fastest way to put your client's life in danger. So, leave the trains alone. Second in the lineup of all-time worst locations, the ledge of a tall building. You do not need that picture in your portfolio. It is both useless and dangerous. You are not Batman. No one is Batman. Other places to be avoided are busy roads, busy bridges, and any place with wild animals. Come on, really? As you can see, working on location really all just boils down to common sense. So now that we have the Darwin Awards out of the way, let's talk about elements which make up a great photo location. Now, on to the good stuff. Chances are there are a lot of great places for portrait photography in your own hometown. Always be respectful and use common sense when it comes to private property. This means that city parks and public spaces are a great place to start. I like to look for locations which have a little wear and tear. Crumbling rock walls, wrought iron fences, and classic street lamps can add a touch of character to your images. First, let's start with the fundamentals. There are 2 critical ingredients to shooting outside with natural light: location and time. You may find a really rad location for your next portrait shoot, but if you show up at the wrong time of day, the sun can pretty much ruin everything. All right, time and location. Let's take a minute to talk fundamentals. Photography is all about light, and right now I am standing in broad sunlight. This is quite possibly the most horrendous lighting situation you could ever imagine. I've got massive exposure burnouts happening over here and huge shadows raking across my face. This is typically why we do not shoot portraits of people in broad sunlight. However, watch what happens when we take a few steps in this direction. Flip around, find ourselves in the shade, and it's as I've just magically stepped into a giant softbox. All the light on my face is perfectly even, all the weird shadows are gone, and furthermore, the light behind me is equal to the light on my face, so we create this beautiful balance between front and back. Next, watch what happens when I turn in this direction. I am still in the shade, and yet everything behind us is being hammered by broad sunlight. This creates massive exposure burnouts behind me, and it's the fastest way to invite your audience to front row seats at amateur hour. So, for the duration of this course, we will be using this simple lighting equation. Nice shady, front to back, it's beautiful, and it's gonna set us up for success. Direct sunlight should typically be avoided when shooting portraits. Therefore, if you want to have soft, even light, you have to place your subject in the shade. For the most part, shade is pretty easy to find, although it does tend to move around as the sun makes its way across the sky. In the morning, the sun rises in the east. This creates large pockets of shade on the western sides of buildings. In the afternoon, the sun sets in the west, and this creates large pockets of shade on the eastern sides of buildings. This is why every location also has an ideal time of day, which makes it optimal for photography. And you should probably take note of the best times of day to shoot at each of your favorite locations in your own hometown. The middle of the day is typically not very good for photography. The sun is directly overhead. This means that trees and buildings are not casting large areas of shade for you to operate in. Therefore, location photography normally works best in the morning or in the afternoon. Howdy friends, welcome to the neighborhood. It's a beautiful summer day. Let's say you're out for a walk, bike ride, whatever you like, and you come across a place that looks like it might make for a really rad outdoor portrait. Quick pro tip, you don't even need a fancy camera for this one. Crack open the old phone, give it a quick selfie. Next, I'm gonna write a description. This is a cool looking hedge. It is west facing, which means that in the morning when the sun rises to the east, this is gonna cast a nice blanket of shade over our section, a really cool soft light. All right, after that, let's drop a pin. GPS location so I know exactly where we are. And after all that's done, I'm gonna text all these things, the picture, the description, and the location to myself. When I get home, we'll crack this baby open on the computer and use it to start building a really rad database of all the best places around town for outdoor portraits. Here's a quick example of my portrait database. It's basically just a Google map filled with pictures I've snapped around town with my iPhone. Each location has a quick description and an ideal time of day for the best sunlight, or in this case, soft light cast from shade. Every client is different, and it pays to have a quick reference guide so that you will always be able to choose the right location for the right person. Scouting ahead is one of the easiest ways to set yourself up for success when it comes to shooting portraits on location. So, the next time you take a drive, hop on a bicycle, or just take a walk around the block, be sure to have a look at your hometown with a fresh set of eyes. Chances are, you will be discovering all kinds of fantastic new places for your next photo location.